Nine.
नहीं
Yeah,
नहीं,
just five
I'm okay.
minutes because students were having their lectures, so just 5 minutes more.
Yeah, sure, no problem.
Just put a reminder in our WhatsApp groups.
So, I'm supposed to talk for an hour, right? Because and stop me or just give me a heads up when I have to stop because I know that once I start talking, it goes on and goes on. So
So you
might be
can
that
continue. It is you can continue till 12:30 around 1.5 hour, and the last half an hour we can keep the QA
question
session.
answer session. Yes,
Yeah.
yes, that's good. That's good.
Uh, Madam, I think we will start now.
Yes.
Yeah. Good morning, my dear students. Good morning to all the participants and everyone. Good morning, dear sir. We are starting with the webinar IPO and Investment Trend 2022. Okay, we will commence now. I now request Dr. Sheetal Patil Madam to take over the session and introduce the college, the webinar, and also introduce the speaker. Over to you, Sheetal ma'am.
Thank you, Pooja ma'am. Before I begin with, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am, you are audible.
Yeah, thank you so much. So, hello, good morning, everyone. A warm welcome to you all for today's webinar on IPO and Investment Trends 2022, organized by Department of Bachelor of Management Studies. I, Dr. Sheetal Patil, faculty member of BMS department, would like to introduce you all to our education institution. Our college was founded by Chikitsak Samuha, an association of like-minded individuals who were keenly interested in education. The college was named after the Sir Sitaram Patkar, a distinguished judge of a Bombay High Court, who was knighted after his retirement, and his wife, Lady Shantabai Patkar. Sir Sitaram was deeply Just a moment, very sorry. Sir Sitaram was deeply interested in furthering the cause of women's education and was the Vice Chancellor of Ascenity University for many years. The College of Arts and Science started functioning from the academic year 1964-65 and the commerce section from academic year 1980 to 81. To provide career-based education, the college started degree-level self-finance courses from the year 2000-2001, and since then, the college has constantly upgraded the courses offered and the infrastructure required for the courses to provide students with the best possible learning opportunities. Many of our alumni hold very good positions in various fields. Patkar-Varde College has a place of pride amongst various educational institutions in the western suburbs of Mumbai. From the year 2019-20, our college was conferred with an academic autonomy. We are proud to mention that our college has received several awards. The college was re-accredited by NAC as an A plus college with a score of 3.53 in the year 2018 in the third NAC cycle. Our college has achieved the Best College Award from University of Mumbai in the year 2016-17. Our college is also an ISO 9001:2015 certified and DBT Star Scheme awarded. We have also got India's Education Excellence Award 2018 from Irctc Media LLC USA. In April 2020, as per Education World India College Ranking for 2021, our college was ranked 45th in all over India and 10th in Maharashtra. Now I would like to introduce you all about our esteemed speaker for the day, Mr. Ganesh Shinde, sir. A very warm welcome to you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Sir is presently working as a senior credit analyst at RBL Bank since February 2011. Earlier, he has worked as an analyst with ICRA Ltd Mumbai, which is a credit rating agency. Apart from corporate experience for more than a decade, Sir was also a visiting faculty for PG and UG courses in subjects like financial management, security analysis, portfolio management with institutes like Lala Lajpat Rai College, ICFI Institute, and ML Dmat. For having set of educational professional degrees of CA, CS, CFA, along with MCOM, which you can all see. So all are professional degrees. And Sir has a proficiency in usage of online database like Bloomberg, Factiva, OneSource, Thomson, One Banker, etc., which are used for these portfolio analysis task work. So without delay, I would like to request Sir to kindly take over the session and let's begin the journey of IPO as an investment trends 2022. Thank you. Over to you, sir. Sir, you are on mute, I think.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, perfect.
Thank you. Just give me a minute. I think I can get a call from my mobile. So I'm just switching from my mobile to my laptop so that even if I get a call within the session, there's no disconnectivity in what I'm talking. So I've already logged in from my laptop. I'm just trying to connect my Bluetooth. Just hold on. Just hold on.
Okay, am I audible, ma'am, now?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Okay, I'm just removing my mobile. Even if I get any call, we can
Sure, sir.
continue the session.
Meanwhile, it's a request to student. If you have any kind of queries, you may please put up in the chat box.
Okay, so thank you so much for inviting me, and I'm glad that college has invited me for this session, and I can share few of my findings, my understanding, share my experience about the market, about the IPO. A great institute I have always heard about, Patkar College, its reputation, and in Goregaon, I have seen, everybody knows about Patkar College. Even, my colleagues, my, seniors, they have passed out from Patkar College. So that's the reason I feel quite, glad that I am speaking over here at this forum and got this opportunity. So really, thank you to the college, and thank you to the Pooja ma'am as well. So without wasting the time, now let's get into uh, the presentation. So I'll share my slide. See, guys, I'll tell you what I'm going to say. Okay, that will be the more important thing. Slide, I have kept it so that you can connect with what I'm talking. But most of 90% of the things is what I'm going to share, or the examples that I'm going to give you. Okay. From Monday to Friday, we have all, we are working. So I just woke up in the morning and I said I'll make some presentation, because if I just keep on talking, people will feel asleep and they will not be able to connect. So I thought making a presentation, a simple presentation, will be quite helpful. So let me just share the screen now. Uh, okay, recording. Is it allowing me now? Yeah. Okay. So here it is. Share. Okay, I think everybody is able to, see my screen that I have shared. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So guys, let's talk about IPOs, initial public offering. See, when I was in college, when I was doing my CA or CS, I had a lot of curiosity to understand what this market is, how people, operate in this market, because there are a lot of security laws that we had to learn in company secretary course, especially SEBI law, Security Regulation Act, and all that was theory. I used to read a lot. There were, big books, and you just have to read them, understand them. But practical understanding was not there. So, frankly, I started, in the market with rupees 500. That was the stipend that I was getting at that point of time from my, CA internship. But the objective was to get into market, understand what the market is. Even if it is 500 rupees, that's fine. How you buy the shares, how you sell the shares, when to buy it, what you have to look into that, how the market operates, what is IPO, what is primary market, what is secondary market. All this, theoretical knowledge was always there with me, but practical knowledge was not there. So that's the reason I thought, let's 500, let's jump into this and try to understand. So purely from understanding perspective, I got into market, and actually it helped me a lot, because when I was at a intermediate stage in my CACS, I got into market and tried to understand. So that helped me at my final level at understanding and then connecting with theory and practical. So my objective in this presentation is also to talk more about the practical market rather than theory. Theory you guys can read in the books. Uh, Now, basic first. As the audience are second year and third year students. Uh, Now, everybody knows what is a company. Okay. Now, within company, we know there is private company and there is public company. Okay. So you can broadly classify companies into private limited and public limited. Now, within those public limited, there is a small set of companies which are listed companies. So first understand that all private public limited companies are not listed companies. Listed companies is a subset of public companies. So to give you an example, Parle Agro Limited. Okay, you must have heard about this name. Is it listed anywhere? No, it is not listed anywhere. Is it a private company? No, it's not a private company. It's a public company, but it's not a listed company. So there are multiple companies which are public limited companies, okay, but they are not listed. So listing is when a public company approaches the investors or public in general and says that I want to sell my shares, and I want to have you as investors or the shareholders. And when the company sells the shares to public in general, okay, that time it becomes a listed company because those shares starts listing on the stock exchange. So if anybody asks you what is listed company, the companies which have issued their shares to public in general, or a simple logic, which are listed on any of the public stock exchanges. Okay, there are multiple stock exchanges in India. The prominent one is National Stock Exchange and Bombay Stock Exchange. So basic is about company, then public company, and within public companies there are listed companies. In this entire presentation, we will be talking about listed companies. Second point, uh, I hope everybody knows what is a Dmat account and what is trading account. Okay, Dmat account is like, where you park your shares, where you keep your shares. Okay, from there you can keep your shares or you can sell the shares. So that's like a locker, you can say. You deposit your valuables over there, and whenever you want, you can take away those valuables. So it's like a account where you can park your shares and then you can sell those shares. Trading account is an account where you actually do the transactions. Okay, so just to give you a balance sheet, you see the assets on the balance sheet. Okay, but when you sell those assets, the profit or loss, whatever the transaction is, that reflects into your profit and loss account. So Demat account is where you park your shares, and trading account is where you actually do the transactions. So you can approach any of the brokers, okay, online brokers or traditional brokers, and they can open an account for you, charging some their nominal charges. So that's the basic. And now let's come to the main topic. So IPO, uh, initial public offering. Now what is initial public offering? Hold on a minute. Ignore. Okay. So what is initial public offering? Initial public offering is the first time company offers shares uh, to the public. Now, within IPO, if you have gone through it, you will find this term called as fresh issue and offer for sale. You need to read those documents carefully. Uh, so, is it a fresh issue or is it an offer for sale? Now, what is fresh issue? Fresh issue means company is generating, okay, or creating new shares, and those shares will be sold to the investors. In that case, the money will come to the company. Okay, the company is generating or printing new shares. For example, they printed 50,000 shares and they are selling those shares to public. Okay, from the sale of those 50,000 shares, whatever the money they will get, that will be in the kitty of the company. The company will use that money for its expansion, for its working capital purpose. On the other hand, offer for sale is quite different. Offer for sale is the existing investors or the existing shareholders of the company, they are trying to sell their shares. Okay, so in that case, company will not receive the money. These shareholders or these investors will receive the money. What are the examples? So examples are, if you see most of the public limited or public undertaking or PSU IPOs, okay, they will be most of the time offer for sale. Why? Because 100% shareholding is held by the government. So if I have to give you an example, IRCTC, it was a famous IPO. Okay, railway ticketing. If you go on a website, you go for IRCTC, or if you travel in a train, you will see those services like food, snacks, all those things that are managed by the catering services are managed by IRCTC. So ticket booking, catering services in a train are managed by IRCTC. Now, prior to the IPO, the entire company was owned by the government of India or its subsidiaries. Now, when the IRCTC IPO came, the government wanted to sell its shares, okay, to public. So, whenever the investor wants to sell the shares to the public, it is termed as offer for sale. So, if I have to give you a current example, uh, right now there is an IPO going on that is called as Vedan Fashion Limited. Uh, Most of people must not be knowing this, but how many of you have heard this name called Manyavar, a fashion brand? In marriages, in functions, you must have heard this brand called Manyavar. Okay, so the brand is Manyavar, okay, but the company name is Vedan Fashion. Now, if you look at the Vedan Fashion, that IPO is currently going on. Yesterday was the allotment of shares, and on Wednesday they will list the shares. That was OFS, okay, offer for sale. The money is not going to come to the company for its growth or its working capital. That will be in the hands of the shareholders or the investors. So they will sell the shares and they will exit from the company, or they might take a partial exit from the company. Now, why am I saying the difference between fresh offer and offer for sale? There's a reason. See, whenever you enter into a company, okay, whenever you buy shares of the company, why you want to buy the shares of the company? Because the share price should increase and you should make gains out of it. But when will the share price of the company will increase? When the company's profits will grow. Okay. So if the company is having a fresh issue and that money is going to be used for company's expansion or growth plans, so definitely the company's top line and bottom line is going to grow. कंपनी का जो सेल्स है या कंपनी का जो प्रॉफिट है वो ग्रो करेगा जितना तुम वर्किंग कैपिटल या एक्सपेंशन में जाओगे. फॉर एग्जांपल, कंपनी हैव 2 फैक्ट्रीज. नाउ दे आर रेजिंग मनी एंड दे वांट टू पुट अप मोर 2 फैक्ट्रीज. ओके, तो पहले 2 फैक्ट्री का आउटपुट आता था. आईपीओ के बाद पैसा आएगा, उससे और 2 फैक्ट्री लगाएंगे तो 4 फैक्ट्री से आउटपुट आएगा. एंड देयर इज अ ह्यूज डिमांड इन द मार्केट. ठीक है, so in that case, obviously the company's top line, that is the sales, and the bottom line, that is the profit, will increase. If the company's top line and bottom line is increasing, definitely the share price will increase. On the other hand, in OFS, okay, do you think that the company's top line or company's expansion plans are going to accelerate? No, because company is not getting the money for expansion or for working capital. It is the existing investors who wants to exit from the company. So it is important to understand what is the type of the IPO. Most of the time, fresh issue is looked as more positive in the market. Okay, ग्रोथ ओरिएंटेड कंपनी, ग्रोथ के लिए पैसा चाहिए. ठीक है, बिजनेस बढ़ाने के लिए पैसा चाहिए. ओके, so this company wants to grow, let's give the money and the company will grow as per the plans. If suppose, definitely investors will make money. On the other hand, offer for sale, there's an existing business going on, existing investors want to exit, and the public can now become the investors. Now if the business model is good, for example, the company is growing at around 20% every year, it's a growing machine, and for any reason the existing investors want to exit the company, so you can buy the shares of those companies and be the owner of a machine which is generating or throwing the profits 20% every year. Okay, so that's important, which type of IPO it is. Whenever you will read next time the IPO, you will find these words OFS and fresh issue. Most of the time it is partly an OFS, partly fresh issue. But if I have to talk about the recent IPO last month, Adani Wilmar, फॉर्चून ऑयल घर में जो यूज करते हो, उस कंपनी का नाम है अदानी विल्मर. इट वाज 100% फ्रेश इशू. Whereas अभी जो IPO चल रहा है मान्यवर का, that is Vedan Fashion, it is 100% offer for sale. Okay, the third important point is the price band. Now, how do you look at the price band? So, for example, if I have to talk about the Adani Wilmar IPO, the price band was 218 rupees to 230 rupees. Okay. Now, what is IPO? IPO is nothing but a bidding auction. I know. I hope everybody knows what is auction. ठीक है, auction में क्या होता है, बोली लगाते हैं. For example, 1 lakh rupees, somebody else will say 1,10,000, somebody else will say 1,25,000. So you bid for that. Similarly, in IPO also, there are limited number of shares. Okay, for example, 10 lakh shares the company wants to issue. Now, all over India, the people will start bidding for those shares. Now, earlier, in 1980s or 90s, the market regulators used to decide the price. Okay, company like Infosys, okay, the regulator will look at the company's papers and everything, and they will say that you have to sell the shares at 50 rupees. So company had no choice; they have to sell the shares at 50 rupees. But over a period of time, the economy, the markets got more open or liberal, and then the regulator said that okay, company, you decide at what price you want to sell it. The market will give you a response. If you keep the price very high, you will not get so much, good response. Whereas if you keep the price quite low, the investors will buy, but you will sell at a very bargain price. So you only decide what is a reasonable price. So thereafter, I think from 90s onwards, the companies have started, deciding the price at what price they want to sell the shares. In the market, there have been instances where the price has been quite high. Such IPOs do not get good response. बहुत ही महंगा है, बहुत ही महंगा है. This is how the market people talks. ठीक है. On the other hand, if you look at the companies which give you at a very, very, what do you say that, at a low price, okay, those IPOs get subscribed much times. So if I have to tell you, at one point of time, I had got one lot of Dmat shares. The price of the share was 300 rupees in the IPO. I got the price at 300 rupees. Luckily, I got one lot. ठीक है, एक ही lot मिला था डीमार्ट का, and the price was 300 rupees. The issue price, to be precise, 299. If you look at the price today, it is 4,000 rupees. Okay? So if you Google a little bit, you will understand the IPO was subscribed, at a very high rate. The subscription पे आऊंगा बाद में, but there was a huge response to that IPO. On the other hand, there have been IPOs where they don't even get 90% subscription. They struggle. Okay, so price band is quite important. Now, sometimes when in my initial days, I used to think that, for example, if the price band is 250 rupees and 300 rupees, तो एक मैं काम करता हूँ 250 पे ही bid करता हूँ ना, ठीक है? You will see that if you bid at 250 rupees or 260 rupees or 275 rupees, 99.9% of the time you will not get the allotment. You have to bid at the cutoff price, because the market functions in such a way that at cutoff price only you will get the shares. So it is always, when you fill a form, it is better you put it at the cutoff price. Cutoff price is the highest price. If the IPO is a good IPO, it will be oversubscribed. Okay, and if the IPO is not good IPO, it will be undersubscribed. Now, undersubscribed IPO, people get stuck in undersubscribed IPO because on the listing day, you are bound to get losses. Whereas in the oversubscribed IPO, there are reasonable chances that on the listing day, the price will increase and you will get a reasonable profit, and you can, sell the shares and you can make money. But in undersubscribed IPOs, you get stuck. So coming back, if the IPO is good, always try to, tick that box of cutoff price. Okay? I'll show you the numbers also. The recent IPOs, all the allotment have been at cutoff price. Okay? So that confusion about price band, at what price we should, bid at. We should be bid at the lowest price or at the average of the price. No, always try to bid at the highest price. Doing your research about how the IPO is. Okay. Next important point is gray market premium. What is gray market premium? See, I'll tell you. Gray market is before the company gets listed on the stock exchange. Prior to that, already there is buying and selling of the shares in the market. If you have heard about this term called OTC, over the counter exchange. Okay, yeah, OTC market. It's a part of OTC market. So now let me tell you about my company. Okay, RBL. When RBL Bank got IPO'd, okay, prior to that, company had given us ESOPs. If you have heard about, you must have employee stock option plan. So we had ESOPs based on the tenure that we had spent with the company, and few of the employees changed the job and went to another bank. So what they did is that they tried to sell the shares, okay, what they had got in the ESOP. Now, since at that time RBL was not listed, I am talking this in the year 2014 somewhere. Okay, so what they used to do, they used to tell the existing employees, Acha, you want to buy the shares? I am to changing the company. For example, I am going from this bank to other bank. What I will do of these shares? Do you want? I will sell the shares to you. So existing employees may buy the shares, or some broker may buy the shares. Okay, or somebody else might buy the shares. And prior to IPO, I'll tell you that RBL Bank earlier was a very small conservative bank. But before the IPO, 2 or 3 years before that, the management completely changed. The Bank of America CEO, yeah, MD for India, they joined Vishwavir Ahuja. They joined as a MD and CEO of the company. Okay, and he brought all the professional management within the company. He groomed the company. Okay, and within the 3 years, the company was one of the prominent, banks in private banks. RBL Bank was a recognizable brand. Earlier to that, RBL banks means it's a small. Is it a cooperative bank? A lot of people used to ask. Although it was not a cooperative bank, but they had that image. Okay, Ratnakar Bank Limited means maybe a cooperative bank. But after the management change, they did branding, marketing. They built a portfolio, and then they approached the market for the IPO. Now, during that period, about this going on, a lot of people, a lot of employees, a lot of competitors understood that RBL Bank is transforming from within. The management has changed, the business is growing. Okay, so this horse is going to run. ये लंबी रेस का घोड़ा लग रहा है, ठीक है, ये भागेगा. तो लोग क्या करते हैं, आईपीओ तो महंगे प्राइस पे ही आएगा, बिकॉज it is all, it's a big ceremony. So prior to that, if you can buy, you will always buy, you can buy the shares at a cheaper price. So all these brokers, investors like Rakesh Jhunjhunwala, Ramdev Agarwal, these are prominent names in the market. They will start, buying the shares from here and there, maybe from employees, maybe from some other brokers, and this is how this gray market, operates. Now, in gray market, why am I referring gray market? Whenever you apply for the IPO, try to find out what is the gray market premium. Gray market में ये share का price क्या चल रहा है? So, if in the gray market, the share is trading at a premium. For example, the price range is 250 to 300. In the gray market, the price right now of that share is 375 rupees. So the company will give the allotment at 300 rupees, but in the gray market, it is already trading at a higher price at 375. मतलब 75 rupees के premium पे चल रहा है. Now this premium, ठीक है, keeps on changing periodically. Maybe after 2 days, 3 days, you need to keep a watch. If the share is trading in the gray market at a premium, okay, that means on the listing day, the share will turn positive and it will make money 90% of the time. Okay, stock market is a game of probabilities. Let me give you that disclaimer. So 90% of the time, it will open in positive, or at the end of the day, on the first day of listing, you will make money. But if the gray market premium is zero, okay, or the gray market premium has reduced sharply. For example, it was 75 15 days back, and now it is at 5 to 10 rupees. Okay, then there are chances that on the listing day you might not make the money, or you might even make losses. So if I have to tell you the current situation, Vedan Fashion, which is going to open on Wednesday, okay, the gray market premium has come down sharply. The retail portion was subscribed only 40%, not even 100%. The gray market premium has come down. Okay, so now on the day of listing, it is going to be quite interesting to see whether the price will go up and it will sustain, or the investors will make losses. Because the gray market premium जो indicator है ना, वो तो थर्मामीटर बता रहा है कि भाई गड़बड़ है, ठीक है. So this is one of the important indicators when you look at investing in IPO. Next important point is retail investors limit. Now, what are the different kind of investors that is I have covered in the next slide? But how much can you invest? For example, I have 20 lakh rupees. Uh, as a retail investors, can I invest 20 lakh rupees in one IPO? For example, suppose let's take the darling of the company, Dmat. Okay? I knew that Dmat is a good business and a lot of things in my place. I have visited Dmat multiple times. I've seen the crowd. I've seen people going crazy and buying from Dmat during lockdown and all that. Okay? Uh, so can I invest my 20 lakh rupees entirely in Dmat IPO? No, you cannot, because as per SEBI guidelines, you as a retail investors you can only bid up to the amount of rupees 2 lakhs, not more than that. So there is a limit. Okay? So how many lots can I buy? Because in IPO you have to bid for a lot. You can't buy one share or two shares. Okay? Generally, I have seen that 15,000 rupees is taken as a benchmark, and then they do a reverse calculation. For example, Adani Wilmar has issued the shares at 230 rupees. So how many shares you can buy if you have 15,000 rupees? 15,000 divided by 230, that means you can buy 65 shares, a lot of 65 shares. So there will be a one lot. So you can bid for one lot, you can bid for two lots, but maximum 2 lakh rupees divided by 230 rupees. So maximum, okay, what you can do is you can bid for around 269 or 268 lots. Sorry, 868 lots, 800 lots or 850 lots you can bid, so that you can have a amount of rupees 2 lakhs. तो मतलब ज्यादा से ज्यादा एक टाइम पे आप 2 लाख रुपया लगा सकते हो एक आईपीओ में, उससे ज्यादा नहीं लगा सकते हो एज अ रिटेल इन्वेस्टर. ठीक है. रिटेल इन्वेस्टर क्या होता है मैं नेक्स्ट स्लाइड में बताता हूँ आपको. तो ज्यादा से ज्यादा आप 2 लाख रुपया लगा सकते हो. अब क्वेश्चन ये आता है कि 2 लाख लगाना चाहिए क्या? Frankly, if you ask me, my experience, no, you should not, because in my you know college days, I have learned this chapter in accounts. Share allotment, over subscription, under subscription. I have learned that in financial accounting. So what they do is that whenever there is an over subscription, they do a proportionate allotment. मतलब एक बंदे को एक लॉट मिलना चाहिए. तो फॉर एग्जाम्पल 1 लाख एप्लीकेशन आए हैं, ठीक है, तो उसमें से अगर 1 लाख एप्लीकेशन सब सही है, फॉर्म वगैरह सब भरा है, तो सबको एक एक लॉट तो आना ही चाहिए. फिर वो देखेंगे अगर कुछ और बचा है तो किसी को 2 लॉट दे देंगे, किसी को और किसी को 3 लॉट दे देंगे. बट जितने भी एप्लीकेशन आए हैं, ठीक है, उनको एक एक लॉट तो मिलना ही चाहिए. So if you must have heard this term called pro rata basis. You do the allotment whenever there is an oversubscription on pro rata basis. So whenever the IPO is subscribed hugely, 27 times, 25 times, there is no chance of getting multiple lots. No chance of getting multiple lots. तो 2 लाख रुपया क्यों ब्लॉक करके रखना है? 15,000 ही डालो. I'll tell you what people do is that people bid for one lot. For example, husband will bid for one lot. Then he will also open a Dmat account of his wife. Okay? He will bid another lot from his wife's PAN number. Then third, he will bid from his mother's PAN number. He will open Dmat account, trading account, okay, from mother. मतलब 15,000 his own PAN card से अलॉट बिड किया है, वाइफ की पैन कार्ड से और 15,000 एक लॉट बिड किया है, मम्मी के पैन कार्ड से एक लॉट बिड किया है, देन फ्रॉम द फादर्स पैन कार्ड, ही माइट बी अ रिटायर्ड पर्सन, ठीक है, उनसे एक लॉट बिड किया हुआ है. So the number of applications will increase because each application will get one allotment. This is the higher chance, ठीक है, कि एक एप्लीकेशन पे एक लॉट तो मिलेगा और एक एप्लीकेशन पे मल्टीपल लॉट मिलने का चांसेस बहुत कम होता है. So if you have heard about this, so I have been in market for now almost 15 years. there have been so many brokers which have opened fake accounts, okay, fake Dmat accounts, fake KYC from certain banks, and they have applied for IPOs. SEBI came to know about these, okay, and SEBI took strong action against those brokers, against those bankers also. So these are the practices which goes on in the market. There are multiple players in the market, and a lot of things happen. There are groups, okay. There are groups where 20 people. They might be the driver, they might be gardener, they might be a sweeper, okay. They might be housekeeping guys, and you know they the brokers will open account in their names, okay, and they will apply for good IPOs on their behalf, okay. If they get the shares, money is of the broker 15,000. If they get the shares, अगर मैंने ऐसे 10 लोगों का भी आईपीओ में सब्सक्राइब कर लिया, 10 में से 8 एप्लीकेशन में भी मिल गया मेरे को, मतलब 8 लॉट आ गए, right? So this is how they try to gain the market, and these all practices goes on in the market. About how to get more and more allotment. Okay, issue subscription. This is very important point. If the issue is subscribed below 90%, IPO flop hai. The company can't issue the shares. Okay, you will bid. There are only 3 days when the bidding process happens, and at the end of the 3 days, the company should get 90% subscription. If they don't get 90% subscription, they literally have to return the money to the investors. Okay, no IPO, tata bye bye. In the past, there have been companies, okay, which have not got the 90% subscription, and they had to drop their plan of IPO. I know precisely when this COVID came in the month of March 2020, okay, those IPOs which were there in the month of March, they were going to get the subscription, or they were in the process of that. Suddenly, when the market crashed, okay, they could not get the subscription, and especially after the lockdown period, okay, those who plan to do the IPOs, those companies withdrew their plan of going ahead with the IPOs, because they knew that in the month of March 2020 market was crashing, investor didn't had any confidence. So who will subscribe for our IPOs? We will not get even 90% subscription. So they themselves withdrew the application. So, and if you get stuck into such kind of IPOs, most of the time people make losses in it. Whereas on the other hand, if the IPO is subscribed well, now when I say well means 2 times, 3 times is not well. If the IPO has subscribed 20 times, 25 times, 70 times, 90 times, okay, so that means that IPO has a strong demand. जितने शेयर मार्केट में बेचने हैं उसके 10 गुना या उसके 20 गुना लोग चाहते हैं कि उसके शेयर बाय करे. तो बहुत बार लोग क्या करते हैं, अगर आईपीओ में नहीं मिला ना, जिस दिन लिस्टिंग हो जाएगी ना उस दिन हम खरीद लेंगे, लेकिन छोड़ेंगे नहीं. So that means there is a huge demand for those shares whenever the subscription is on a higher side. That means the share is going to open in a positive territory. You are going to make money. जितना ज्यादा सब्सक्रिप्शन होगा, ठीक है, जितने ज्यादा टाइम सब्सक्रिप्शन होगा उतने ज्यादा तुम प्रॉफिट कमा सकते हो. ठीक है, I'll just tell you डीमार्ट का एग्जांपल. होल्ड ऑन. डीमार्ट कितनी बार सब्सक्राइब हुआ था, एंड 299 का शेयर इट ओपनड एट अराउंड डबल प्राइस, 100% प्रॉफिट इन 1 डे. ठीक है, बिकॉज इट वाज सब्सक्राइब सब्सटैंशियली. बहुत ज्यादा सब्सक्रिप्शन आया था डीमार्ट के लिए. नो डाउट जिन्होंने जिस दिन ओपन होने के बाद भी खरीदा है वो भी आज प्रॉफिट में ही बैठे होंगे. बट हाँ, आई टेल यू डीमार्ट का सब्सक्रिप्शन, एक मिनट मेरे को मिल रहा है क्या मेरे इसमें. ओके, I don't have that handy, but if you Google out, you will understand that DMart was subscribed multiple times, maybe more than 50 times for sure, and the price opened doubled. Okay, so you make 100% profit. So this is the power of subscription. So for example, now Vedan Fashion, which is going to list on Wednesday, ये 16 तारीख को, I'm not wrong, हाँ 16 तारीख को Wednesday, उसका सब्सक्रिप्शन कितना आया हुआ है? It has subscribed around 2.39 times, which is not that great. Had it been 10 times, 15 times, 20 times, so I could have said there is 75% to 80, 90, 80% chances that on the listing day, it will make money or investors will make profit out of it. तो इशू कितने टाइम सब्सक्राइब होता है, इस पे नजर रखना बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है इफ यू वांट टू make money in this IPO process. Last point in this slide is the size of the IPO. Now, size of the IPO matters a lot. Smaller the size of the IPO, easier to get the subscription. 500 करोड़ का IPO है, इजीली सब्सक्राइब हो जाता है. 1000 करोड़ का IPO है, इजीली सब्सक्राइब हो जाता है. बट जितना बड़ा IPO रहेगा, ठीक है, उतना चांसेस है कि वो प्रॉफिटेबल होने में डिफिकल्ट होगा. तो इफ आई हैव टू गिव यू नंबर्स, ठीक है, जोमैटो और जोमैटो नहीं, चलो फैशन ब्रांड नायका सुना रहेगा किसी ने, राइट? इट्स अ फैशन ब्रांड नायका. It had a IPO of around 5,300 crores. It got subscribed very well. Policy Bazaar, इंश्योरेंस की एक वेबसाइट है, ठीक है, policybazaar.com. It had a IPO size of 5,625 crores. It also got subscribed decently. Paytm IPO size was 18,300 crore. Where is 5,000 and where is 18,000? मतलब 3 times more than that. ठीक है. What happened? Paytm IPO is flop. आज जो भी Paytm लेके बैठा है, ठीक है, 56% as of today's date. Yesterday it closed at around 398 rupees. As on today's day when I'm talking, investors are having a loss of around 56%. आधा पैसा निकल गया. अलॉटमेंट हुआ था 2,150 रुपए पे, ठीक है. द कंपनी ने तो सेल कर दिया अपना शेयर 2,150 में, और जो बायर ने बाय किया हुआ है आज उसकी प्राइस 938 रुपीज. वेर इज 2,000 एंड वेर इज 938. 50% लॉस, ठीक है. IPO साइज वाज वेरी ह्यूज. 18,000 वाज अ बिग साइज IPO. होल्ड ऑन, मेरे को एक कॉल आ रहा है, बट आई विल जस्ट कट इट. That's the reason I knew that I will get calls and the disconnection will happen. Okay, so coming back, so if you look at the example of a Paytm, it's a flop IPO. Existing investors are crying, you know, that Paytm IPO was not good. They had a very high price. Very high price is one thing, but the size of the IPO also was one of the factors. Smaller the size of IPO, easily you will get subscription. Over subscription भी हो जाता है. But greater the size of the IPO, it will be problem. It will have a problem. I'll tell you, LIC का IPO आने वाला है, ठीक है, and LIC IPO will be a IPO which size the LIC of India is planning to be 70,000 crore to 1 lakh crore. 70,000 crore का IPO, I don't think इतना बड़ा IPO कभी आया है मार्केट में. और कितना मतलब बड़ा IPO है, वो उतने बड़े IPO को सक्सेसफुल होना, आई डोंट नो. स्टिल द गवर्नमेंट इज प्लानिंग, ठीक है, बिकॉज LIC इज ओन्ड बाय गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया एंड देयर हैव बीन टॉक्स गोइंग ऑन फॉर लास्ट 1 or 2 couple of years कि LIC का IPO करना है. तो बट द साइज ऑफ द LIC IPO which we have come to know is around 70,000 to 1 lakh crore. It is going to be a huge IPO. I don't know how the subscription response will be. But what I know is that if this is going to be a situation as of today, what is happening, stay away from such kind of IPOs, which are huge and subscription is quite, nominal. उन IPO से दूर रहने का, always. Okay, let me move to the next slide. Allocation of shares. So whenever the IPO comes now, as per SEBI guidelines, you need to have some quota. हर एक का quota होता है, ठीक है, IPO में. For example, the company wants to sell 1 lakh shares. It can't say that 1 lakh shares कोई भी आके bid कर लो, retail investors, HNI, नहीं. As per SEBI guidelines, there have been quotas that are given. So first is qualified institutional bidders. So 1 lakh का अगर IPO size है, number of shares you want to sell is 1 lakh, 50,000 shares should be for QIB. Now what is QIB? Qualified institutional bidders. So who are they? Mutual funds is one of them. Insurance companies, they take premium from you and they invest those funds or float, they say, in the market or in some other fixed income securities. So QIB एक हो गया, insurance एक हो गया, mutual funds. Then there are multiple other institutions like private equity funds. Okay, you must have heard about these names called Morgan Stanley is one of the investment bankers based out of US. Morgan Stanley, one of my ex-employers, it is also an investment banker. Bank of America, Merrill Lynch, these all are big players. Okay, JP Morgan Chase, these are all investment bankers, and these are a part of qualified institutional bidders. Then you have Abu Dhabi Investment Corporation. You have multiple such big private equity firms which invest as qualified institutional bidders. Okay. Now, one of the rule of SEBI is that the qualified institutional bidders cannot sell the shares, okay, immediately on the day of listing. They have a lock-in period of 1 month. 1 महीने के बाद में शेयर वो लोग बेच सकते हैं. So if you track Paytm, you will realize that Paytm listed on X date, the share price fell, and after X plus 30 days, when the lock-in period got over of qualified institutional bidders, again they sold because the huge chunk of the shares were with QIB. And as soon as the lock-in period got over, they sold the shares on that day. And that day again the Paytm share price fell sharply. इसके लिए तो आज 56% लॉस पे खड़ा है उसका शेयर प्राइस. तो यू नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड दिस डायनामिक्स कि लिस्टिंग डे पे क्या होता है. एक चीज और होती है, ऑन द लिस्टिंग डे देयर इज नो अपर सर्किट लोअर सर्किट. जनरली व्हेन द शेयर ट्रेड्स, ठीक है, द शेयर कैन नॉट गो फ्रॉम 10 to 500 in 1 day. नो, सेबी डजंट अलाउ और स्टॉक एक्सचेंज डजंट अलाउ, क्योंकि वो तो पूरा सट्टा ही रह जाएगा. या नो शेयर कैन कम फ्रॉम 200 rupees to 2 rupees in 1 day. No, it's not possible. As per the SEBI guidelines, there has to be upper circuit, lower circuit for the shares. Some shares have 10% circuit range, some shares have 20% circuit range. Okay? But on the day of listing, the first day when the share gets traded on the stock exchange, there is no upper circuit, there is no lower circuit. So that is the reason I told you, Dmat जो 299 में आया था, on the day of listing got doubled. ये नॉर्मल शेयर कभी नहीं होगा, लेकिन लिस्टिंग डे पे होगा, हो सकता है, क्योंकि लिस्टिंग डे पे इट कैन गो फ्रॉम 300 to 0 ऑल्सो, ठीक है, और 1 rupee ऑल्सो, और इट कैन गो फ्रॉम 300 to 600 ऑल्सो. So that's the beauty of the listing day. After the listing day, then it has to follow the circuit rule. Whatever the circuit the stock exchange decide for their share, the share 20% or 10%, in that range it will move for that day. So coming back, qualified institutional bidders, I'll tell you the entire IPO is managed, handled, direction, ये सब बड़ा पैसा ही करता है. बड़ा पैसा मतलब QIB. And in stock market, I'll tell you the direction of the share is decided by the big money. ठीक है, you go and put your 50,000, it has no value. ठीक है, 50,000 is like change जो हम देते हैं ना, वैसा है स्टॉक मार्केट में. There are 500 crores, 5,000 crores, 200 crores. This is how the buying and selling happens in QIB. So 200 crores means how many shares will they buy or will they sell? That decides the direction, which way the share price will move. Your 50,000 will not decide the direction. ठीक है, so you need to understand कि हवाएं कहाँ से चल रही है. You are one of the particles as a retail investor. You need to understand The farmer also tries to understand what is weather and from where the winds are going to blow. As a smart investor, you should also understand how the winds are going to blow. For that, you need to understand, you need to spend a lot of time in the market. So, uh, coming back, QIB are those big players, big boys of the market. Retail investors are people like you and me, okay, having a limit of around 2 lakh rupees for IPO. So 35% of that allotment will have to be for retail investors. Then there are high net worth individuals. You must have heard these names called Rakesh Jhunjhunwala, okay, Ramdev Agarwal, Radha Krishna Damani, okay. These all are high net worth individuals. They might be having a net worth of around 200 crore, 400 crore, or maybe 500 crore. So they invest 10 crores, they invest 50 crores, okay, that way. So if you want to invest more than 2 lakh rupees, you can. For example, I want to invest 10 lakh rupees in the IPO, but then I cannot bid in the retail quota. I will have to bid in the high net worth HNI quota. So a bid which is an individual bid which is about 2 lakh rupees will go into HNI wala quota, whereas a bid below 2 lakh rupees will go into retail quota. Retail quota is always higher compared to HNI quota. So the chances of getting the lot in retail will be more, whereas in HNI you are competing, for few number of shares, and there are a lot of HNIs in India as of today. Okay. Employee reservation, even as per the SEBI rules, the company's employee, for example, Adani Wilmar, the employees of the company can also bid. They have a separate quota of 5%. Okay. Now, any IPO you look at, it's a 3-day, game. It's a game of 3 days. Day 1, the IPO opens. Okay. Okay, now I'll tell you why I have made this slide. This is what I do. Okay, on day 1, I look at the company. How is the response? How is the response from QIB? How is the response from HNI? And how is the response from retail? Okay, a sign of a bad IPO is retail IPO is getting subscribed fully, or maybe more than 100% on the first day. And QIB and HNI, which are smart players, smart money, they are not subscribing. मतलब समझ जाने का कि थोड़ा दाल में कुछ काला है. Then again next day you have to look at the end of the day, because the bidding happens on the stock exchange. There is book building system. At the end of the second day, you need to again look at how much is the percentage of subscription. Is it subscribed fully by HNI or by QIB? That shows, because see, they have a lot of information. When they put 200 crore, 500 crore, they have a army of all these analysts who are doing all those research, understanding the market, the company, and they know more about the company than our retail investors. Retail investors, तो क्या है? If I'll tell you, it's like a gambling for most of the retail investors. Most, not all. Okay, but these QIB and HNIs, these are old players in the market. वो पुराने चावल है मार्केट के, तो उनको सब मालूम रहता है कौन से कंपनी में क्या चल रहा है, कौन सा डायरेक्टर क्या है, अंदर का खबर. दे ऑल नो एवरीथिंग. So you need to keep a watch on them कि वो कैसे बिहेव करते हैं. एंड ऑन द थर्ड डे, ठीक है, द मेन द एक्शन जो होती है ना, क्लाइमैक्स, ठीक है, ये थर्ड डे पे होता है. थर्ड डे you have to be very careful. If on the third day these HNI and these QIB people subscribe, if they find that the IPO is good, so for the first 2 days the QIB quota might be subscribed 10%, 10%, मतलब 20%. On the third day, you will see a huge subscription from their side. Okay. So what they do is that they also wait for the third day, and they know कि if the IPO is getting a good response, they will subscribe on third day. And then the end of the third day, you will find in the evening 7 बजे के बाद में अगर न्यूज चेक करोगे बिजनेस चैनल्स पे, So you will find that this IPO has been subscribed 10 times, this IPO has been subscribed 15 times. और ये जो 10-15 टाइम्स होता है ना, ये मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम QIB से होता है. एक अच्छी IPO की तुमको साइन बताता हूँ, where QIB and HNI have subscribed higher number of times compared to retail investors. और एक मीडियोकर या वीक IPO, ठीक है, की साइन क्या होती है? Retail investors have subscribed more number of times than the QIB or HNI. That means भाई रिटेल इन्वेस्टर्स मतलब हाँ कहीं सुनी, हाँ ये आईपीओ अच्छा है, लगा दे, तो रिटेल इन्वेस्टर्स आ जाते हैं अंदर, ठीक है. अगर उनका सब्सक्रिप्शन ज्यादा है, वेयर एज द स्मार्ट मनी विच इज क्यूआईबी एंड एचएनआई, उनका अगर कम है, तो दैट मीन्स दैट आईपीओ इज गोइंग टू बी अ लिटिल बिट इन अ प्रॉब्लम, ठीक है. But see, these are the few signs. If you will say these are always the rules that will work, no. These are the signs, and you have to keep exploring those things. I told you the market possibility, probability, ये word बहुत important है in market. ठीक है. Your experience, your gut feeling, your guess from your experience matters a lot. Okay. So these were few, I would say tactical things without looking, without understanding, just ऊपर से देख के, you can understand at the IPO what is going on. But the real person who is, who wants to get into the market and who wants to understand the company and wants to keep that company or those shares for a long term. For example, Dmat है, 300 रुपए का शेयर था, पहले दिन पे 600 हो गया. I am telling you, 90% of the retail investors might have sold that share. 90% of the retail investor बोल रहा हूँ, ठीक है. अरे एक दिन में डबल हो गया पैसा, एक दिन में डबल, ठीक है. स्टॉक सॉरी फिक्स डिपॉजिट में रखूंगा तो 7 साल रुकना पड़ेगा डबल होने के लिए. डीमार्ट ने तो एक दिन में डबल करा दिया पैसा. तो बहुत सारे रिटेल इन्वेस्टर्स ने बेच दिए होंगे शेयर. बट दोज हु हैव नॉट सोल्ड द शेयर्स ना, लुक टुडे इट इज एट अराउंड 4000. दैट मींस मोर देन 10 टाइम्स. तो कौन से शेयर को होल्ड करने का, कौन से शेयर को बेच देने का, आईपीओ पे बेच देने का क्या, या उसको होल्ड करके रखने का. Lot of time it happens that share opens at a lower price, but then within next 3-4 days है ना, it again comes up. तो हम लोग मार्केट में क्या बोलते हैं, जो कच्चे खिलाड़ी होते हैं ना, ठीक है, वो फटाक से बेच के निकल जाते हैं. लेकिन जो हो मतलब पुराने खिलाड़ी होते हैं ना, उनको मालूम होती है इस चीज का वर्थ कितना है, इस चीज का वैल्यू कितना है. वो लोग होल्ड करके रखते हैं. उनको मालूम है इस चीज का भाव इतना है, आज नहीं तो कल आएगा. देयर इज अ कोट ऑफ वॉरेन बफेट, ठीक है, दैट इन मार्केट इन शॉर्ट टर्म इज अ क्या बोलते हैं वो, पुलिंग बोथ पे होता है ना मशीन, इलेक्शन के वक्त तुम बटन दबाते हो, वो मशीन, ठीक है. आई एम नॉट एबल टू रिकलेक्ट दैट वर्ड. वेराज इन द लॉन्ग टर्म द मार्केट इज अ वेइंग मशीन. वेइंग मतलब जहां पे तुम वजन अपना देखते हो. तो इलेक्शन में क्या होता है, कोई भी आता है, अच्छा हाँ हमको ये अच्छा लगता है, इसने वादे किए थे, ये बोला हम पानी लाके देंगे, इसने तो हमको साड़ियां भी बांटी है, इसने हमको बड़े बड़े वादे किए, ये आदमी सच्चा लगता है, इसको दे दो, ठीक है. इट इज ऑल अबाउट द ओपिनियन, कौन सा बटन दबाना है, कौन से पार्टी का. तो इट्स ऑल ओपिनियन. ओपिनियन लोगों का अलग अलग ओपिनियन. देयर इज नो फुल थॉट प्रोसेस. So in short term, the market is like that machine. लोग बटन दबाते रहते हैं, बाय सेल बाय सेल बाय सेल. बट इन द लॉन्ग टर्म, ठीक है, तुम्हारा वेट मशीन क्या दिखाता है, तुम्हारा एग्जैक्ट वेट बताता है, ठीक है. वो पहले काटा आगे पीछे होगा, बट एक जगह पे आके वो स्टेबल दिखाएगा तुम्हारा एग्जैक्ट वेट कितना है. इट मेजर्स योर वेट, ठीक है. सो इन शॉर्ट टर्म द मार्केट is all about opinions, but in long term the market is all about fundamentals. So how, what to look at the fundamentals? Now this is a very big topic, ठीक है. मतलब I have spent years in this, even still today I am learning fundamentals, ठीक है. I am, वो बोलते हैं ना, मैं मेरी वो तलवार को धार देते रहता हूँ, वैसा टाइप है. थोड़ी धार है लेकिन और बहुत कुछ धार लानी बाकी है. So you need to keep polishing that every time. Or to give you more example, like it's a ocean I have just got into, and I have just made my feet wet in that water. I have not submerged completely. It will take a lot of time for me to get so deep into it. It's a huge ocean, fundamentals. So what do you look in a company before investing into IPO, what I look at is I look at the business model. Now, what is business model? I'll just give you a few examples. IRCTC, ठीक है, is a business model which has a monopoly. उसको कोई competition ही नहीं है. Can you buy tickets other than IRCTC? कोई और website है? Even if you buy from other website, it will route you through or it will buy it from IRCTC only. जहाँ पे मोनोपोली बिजनेस है ना, ठीक है, वहां पे श्योर शॉर्ट कैश फ्लो आने हैं. मोनोपोली इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट in business to make profits. That is the reason a lot of businessmen try to create monopoly, but this is not good for the customers. But from business perspective, the monopoly is very good. For example, MGL, Maharashtra Gas, Mahanagar Gas Limited. Can you have any other pipeline gas in your house other than MGL? No, right? So every month you will use the gas and you have to pay the bill. So many people in Mumbai are using MGL, Mahanagar Gas, and they are paying the bill. So there is a regular cash flow that the company is getting because it has monopoly. It doesn't have a competition. Whereas if there is a lot of competition in the market, you are quite uncertain. आज माल बिका है, कल यार कोई और सस्ते में बेचेगा तो उसका माल चलेगा. So whether the business have any kind of a monopoly, if it has, that means the business model is strong. Second thing, does it have some unique thing in it? For example, Apple, if you see, there are a lot of other mobiles also, but Apple has something unique about it, and it is it keeps its buyers connected. So I've seen this. Once you buy an iPhone, subsequently you keep buying iPhone only. Rarely I've seen people switching from iPhone to Android phones or something like that. There is something in that business of Apple, that it knows how to keep its customers in touch or keep their interest within the product. So that is one thing. Third example, Asian Paints. There are multiple paints companies in India, but Asian Paint has the largest share in the market. If you go to any paint shop in Mumbai also, you ask him सबसे ज़्यादा paint किसका बिकता है, it will be Asian Paints. ठीक है? There is another company called Dulux is there, Berger Paint is there, but Asian Paint has maintained its leadership in the market. Maybe because of its quality, maybe because of its supply chain network, maybe because of its pricing, variety XYZ, but that company has maintained its leadership position. Okay? So these kind of attributes, okay, decides how is the business model. Second important thing in business model is how is the management of the company. Is it a reliable management? Okay? A lot of times managements are not reliable. If the management is not reliable, even if the business is good, business will make money, but that money will be eaten up by the management. So management is a very important thing whenever you invest in any company. Okay? If it's a good management, for example, Infosys, Narayan Murthy. On the other hand, Satyam. Both were the IT companies, both were in the same sector, both were the competitors, both were having same clients also. Okay? And a lot of employees used to switch from Infosys to Satyam, from Satyam to Infosys. But in long term, you saw Ramalingam Raju diverted money in that Maitas infrastructure and land companies and everything. Whereas Narayan Murthy was, quite honest person. He was so honest even after, founding the company, Infosys and everything. He never made his kids to sit on that company. Rohan करके उसका लड़का है, Rohan Murthy. But he is no more, a director or an executive director in the company. They had run the company very professionally. So that's the difference. between these two, you have Kingfisher. It's a good brand for airlines. But what happened? Okay, Kingfisher Airlines. The management was not that great. Uh, Whereas if you look at Tata's, okay, they will make losses, but they will protect their image. पैसा गया चलेगा, but अपना reputation नहीं जाना चाहिए. तो मैनेजमेंट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. इन्वेस्टर्स, ये पूरा इन्वेस्टमेंट का जो गेम है वो पूरा ट्रस्ट पे चलता है. तो मैनेजमेंट पे ट्रस्ट होना जरूरी है. एक बार ट्रस्ट उठ गया, खत्म. सो यू हैव टू लुक एट द मैनेजमेंट कि हाउ इज द मैनेजमेंट ऑफ द कंपनी. कोई चोरों उच्चक्का या कोई पास जेल में जाके आया हुआ है या कोई कंपनी में फ्रॉड किया हुआ है, वही उनका डायरेक्टर है या वो उनका रिश्तेदार है. सो दैट यू हैव टू बी वेरी केयरफुल. ठीक है. देन in the business model you need to understand ki how are the profit margins. If there are a lot of entry barriers in the business, entry barriers मतलब उस बिजनेस मॉडल तक आने के लिए बहुत लोगों को बहुत कुछ easily you can't compete with that company. ठीक है. So if there are entry barriers, in those cases your profit margins will be intact. Third thing, if there is a huge scope for the market to grow, okay, then it's going to be a market where more and more sales will come. Whereas a company which market, the scope of market is quite limited or it is fading. For example, a company like क्या बताऊं अभी मैं तुमको. हाँ, वो एक डिस्क बनाती थी ना, जो सीडी प्लेयर बनाने वाली एक कंपनी थी. अभी मैं नाम भूल गया, मोजर बेयर टाइप उससे भी एक थी. Now that company should have been able to adopt itself and get into other things. But एक बार सीडी खत्म हो गया, उसके ऊपर ही अगर उनका बिजनेस पूरा डिपेंडेंट था, in that case it is going to create a problem. ठीक है. Similarly, now a lot of companies are moving towards electric vehicle. Those companies which will not be able to move towards electric vehicle and they will continue making diesel machines, the market is changing, and if they are not able to adopt themselves, okay, that is the reason Tatas and Mahindras are investing into EV. Whereas the other companies, if they are not able to, they will not grow. These are the few things I told you. ठीक है. मोनोपोली हो गया, एंट्री बैरियर्स हो गया, मार्केट का स्कोप कितना बड़ा है. ठीक है. फ्यूचर में ये प्रोडक्ट चलने वाला है, कितना चलेगा. ठीक है. आज मार्केट शेयर कितना है. All these things matters a lot to understand the business model. I told you, I have been learning it for so many years. So it takes time to understand the business model. Okay. If the business model is good, no doubt on the day of listing, you might get the value, good value. But if you hold the shares in the long run, after 3 years, 5 years, you will definitely get a better value than on the day of listing. Okay. Valuation matters a lot. How is the valuation of the company? If the company is overvalued, okay, in the market, I generally don't like to buy those shares. Okay. And in the IPO, Warren Buffett has said this, that always in IPO market, the share price is valued more than the fair value, because you have a army of investment bankers, experts, lawyers, everybody is ready, and they want to make this IPO successful and get their share of money and commission. And company also knows that I have to get more and more money from the investors at a higher price. जितने महंगे में बेच सकता हूँ उतने में बेचने के लिए देखूंगा. आप सिंपल एक देख लो ना, आप जो बिल्डिंग में रहते हो, आपका घर बाजू वाला फ्लैट अगर सपोज 50 लाख में बिका है, तो आप क्या बोलते हो, अरे नहीं मेरा फ्लैट तो थोड़ा है ना उससे बेटर है, मेरा इंटीरियर्स भी अच्छा है, तो माय फ्लैट शुड सेल एट अराउंड 60 lakhs तो मिलना ही चाहिए. तो यू विल स्टार्ट एट 60 lakhs, राइट? After 6 months, a year, if 4-5 people came and say that 60 lakhs is too high, then you start thinking, अरे नहीं यार चल 55 पे ट्राई करके देखता हूँ, ब्रोकर को बोलता हूँ 55 पे फ्लैट निकाल ले, right? But initially you start at 60, you keep a price higher. Same is the logic over here. There are companies, for example, Adani Wilmar, competitor कौन है? Marico है. Marico क्या करता है? Marico का सफोला करके ऑयल है, और इसका अदानी विल्मर का फॉर्चून करके ऑयल है. Now, Marico is a very old company and a very reputed, and the management is really मतलब good as per my analysis. ठीक है, उसका जो valuation है वो सस्ता है, because in the secondary market you actually understand what is the valuation, because on the day of listing there is one day show only. In the primary market the valuation is not fair. ठीक है, in the secondary market the real value over a period of time gets evolved. So in the IPO market, if you have sold the shares at a very high price, eventually in the secondary market, the price will come down and it will correct. Okay? Whereas in the primary market, if you have sold at a cheaper price, like Dmat, 299, in the secondary market, over a period of time, your price will increase. Paytm ने अपना शेयर प्राइमरी मार्केट में 2150 पे बेचा था लास्ट ईयर नवंबर में, अभी 3 महीने पहले. आज उसका शेयर प्राइस कितना है? 938. ठीक है, पॉलिसी बाजार ने अपना अलॉटमेंट कितने पे किया था? 980 पे. आज उसका शेयर 21% डाउन है, 778 का प्राइस है. तो सेकेंडरी मार्केट में इतने लोग बाइंग सेलिंग करते हैं, ब्रोकर्स होते हैं, म्यूचुअल फंड्स होते हैं, काफी लोग होते हैं. सो द रियल वैल्यू ऑफ द कंपनी, ठीक है, इवेंचुअली कम्स आउट. अगर मैं सिमिलर एग्जांपल दूं, आप फर्स्ट बार किसी आदमी को देखते हो ना, या किसी पर्सन से मिलते हो, यू गेट इम्प्रेस्ड, और फर्स्ट मीटिंग में ही ट्राइज टू इम्प्रेस यू. ठीक है, ही विल गिव हिज बेस्ट, कपड़े भी अच्छे पहन के आएंगे, एकदम टिप टॉप आएंगे, एंड ही विल ट्राई टू इम्प्रेस यू. बट eventually when you meet him, 5 times, 6 times, 10 times, then you realize, okay, this person have these good qualities, this person have these qualities which are not so good. But in the first impression it's all very good, very good. It's primary market is like that. In the first listing everything is good, company also presents all good thing. And I'll tell you, एक आईपीओ होने से पहले 2-3 साल का है ना प्रिपरेशन करना पड़ता है. जैसे 10th स्टैंडर्ड के लिए बच्चे लोग प्रिपेयर करते हैं ना, 1 साल 2 साल पहले ही क्लासेस वासेस लगा के, 10th में अच्छा स्कोर आना ही है, और प्रिपेयर फॉर आईआईटी और समथिंग लाइक दैट. दे स्टार्ट प्रिपरेशन from maybe 2 years or 1 year before that. Similarly, before the company comes with an IPO, prior to that, minimum 3 years before, they start preparing. They will make sure that every year the revenue is growing, the profits are growing, और वो सब ट्रेंड है ना, बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. I'll show you one prospectus. All this data goes to SEBI and SEBI scrutinizes this data. So it has to be in a positive trend. Negative trend रहेगा ना, तो फिर वो IPO सक्सेसफुल होना मुश्किल है. So that is the reason the company's banker, chartered accountant, finance team, everybody is from last 2-3 years they prepare for the company to present कि भाई मार्केट में जब जाए एकदम अच्छा प्रोडक्ट दिखे अपना. एक बार बिक गया ना, उसके बाद में फिर ठीक है, अपने को पैसा मिल गया, फिर बाद में रिटेल इन्वेस्टर्स या इन्वेस्टर्स है, प्राइस डिक्लाइन भी हो गया तो कोई चिंता नहीं है, बाद में देख लेंगे. तो coming back, so valuation is very important. How do you value? There's discounted cash flow method. Some of the students might have heard about this. Especially I think TY students might have heard about DCF model. Okay. The second method is market multiples. There is something called as P ratio. Okay, price to earning ratio. You compare the existing business with the businesses which are already listed. So for example, I told you Adani Wilmar listed on last month in January. But the same business model or its competitor is Marico, Saffola Oil. Okay? So look at the price multiple of those companies. Similarly, if some other company is coming in the market, उसके जो competitors है, listed peers है, उनकी क्या valuation है, उनकी क्या pricing है. For example, it is 20 times its earnings, या 2 times its asset base. These are the parameters in which we value the company. So you need to understand, उससे एक idea आ जाती कि is it overvalued or undervalued. I'll tell you, most of the time it will be overvalued, but then you need to see how much is it overvalued. Is it overvalued? मतलब बोलते ना कि it is super overvalued. Keep away from that IPO. It is reasonably overvalued, but the growth will pick up eventually. So ठीक है, you can take up a chance. And I'll tell you that earnings into P ratio is the share price. in initially what happens in IPO is this component of P ratio, ठीक है, जो P मैंने लिखा है ना प्राइस इक्विटी, इसको अगर तुम हाई रखोगे, ठीक है, तो तुम्हारा शेयर प्राइस क्या होगा, मल्टीप्लाई होके हमेशा हाई होगा, ठीक है। आइडियली होना क्या चाहिए, द बेस्ट सिनेरियो, द आइडियल सिनेरियो, जो होता नहीं है, जो हर इन्वेस्टर चाहता है, अर्निंग्स हाई होने चाहिए और पी कम होना चाहिए. So if the earnings will grow, the earnings are more of the company, eventually the price will increase. So always the investor would like that the earnings should be higher, the P should be on a lower side, and that's how the share price should look like. But in real world it doesn't happen, and at least in IPO the P ratio will always be high, and then the P ratio eventually comes down. If the earnings keep growing faster, जो कि डीमार्ट के केस में हुआ था, ठीक है, the earnings kept on growing. तो अगर इन दोनों कंपोनेंट में से either if the P is constant, for example P 10 का है तो 10 पे ही रहा है, but earnings are increasing, then obviously the share price will increase. If the earnings are falling, then the share price will also fall. ठीक है, so these are very two important components whenever you look at the share price. What is the valuation that the market is giving, and what is the earnings growth? If the earnings growth are in the positive trajectory, the share price will move towards positive territory. And if the earnings are on a declining trend, obviously the share price would also be on a declining trend. Okay. So here are a few popular IPOs of 2021. ठीक है, Zomato, Policybazaar, Nykaa, and Paytm. Now, if you look at Zomato, it got listed, or the IPO came in July 21, last year to July. The IPO size was 9,375 crores. Now, if you look at the price, 72 to 76. Allotment कितने पे हुआ? 76 पे हुआ. इसीलिए मैं हमेशा बोलता हूँ कि कट ऑफ प्राइस पे बिड करना. What is the current market price? The current market price is 88.7. How much is the gain? 17% as on today. If somebody has bought the shares at allotment price and he is holding it, today he is having a decent gain of around 17%. So July, that means almost like 6-7 months you are holding it, and if you are getting 17% in 6-7 months is not a bad thing. It's reasonably okay. On the other hand, if you look at Policybazaar, November 21, that means अभी 3-4 महीने पहले आया था, दिवाली के आसपास, I guess. The IPO size was 5,625, which was the size was not that huge. Price was 940 to 980. Obviously 980 पे ही allot होगा. Today's current price is 778. The price have gone down. Investors are facing losses. Whoever is holding that share till date. नाइका और फैशन ब्रांड, ये जब आईपीओ आया था, और एक चीज है, मार्केटिंग बहुत होता है इस आईपीओ में. ये आईपीओ खेल ही ऐसा है. शी इज अ इन्वेस्टमेंट बैंकर, ठीक है. द लेडी हु रन्स दिस कंपनी, शी इज अ इन्वेस्टमेंट बैंकर. She will be invited on moneycontrol.com, CNBC. She will tell all the good things about the company, and she will try to sell the company. And all this happens. There is proper marketing agenda that goes on. ठीक है. And their IPO got subscribed quite well. The price was 1085 to 1125. Obviously, the allotment, the subscription was oversubscribed. The allotment happened at 1125. Today, the price is 1645. Okay. So, whoever has invested in this, they must be standing at a gain of 46%. But still, a lot of questions are there in the market. Can this business, sustain the margins or the growth? Because I know in beauty product or cosmetics, there is a lot of unorganized market also. There are a lot of people, or there are a lot of products which are not branded, like Nykaa or something, Lakme. But there is a competition. There is a lot of competition in this market. That's what I know. Okay. Paytm, it also got listed in November. A huge IPO size. Okay. They did an allotment at cutoff price of 2150. Today it is at 938. Investors are facing 56% loss. So you can see, out of 4, 2 IPOs have done well. Okay, and 2 IPOs, in 2 IPOs, the investors are facing losses. So understanding the IPO is quite important. because you are playing with fire. You should know how to handle the fire. Then you should know, you should have a water with you, or you should know, you should have, fire protected gloves. Then only go near the fire. Otherwise, don't play with the fire. Initially you will feel the warm and you will feel good, but then eventually you will burn your fingers. So prepare yourself and then deal with it. uh, in the latest IPOs, I spoke about Adani Wilmar. Okay, Adani Wilmar, Jan 22 last month, the IPO came out. IPO size was quite small, 3,600. And I'll tell you, Adani, now all of you must be heard about this name called Adani, and it's a conglomerate, it's a big business. एक चीज उसमें क्या होता है ना, if this business will not do well, the other business will help this business. For example, they can divert those funds, or they can support this company in some financially. So it's a strong group, Adani. So that is one positive thing. And Wilmar is a Singapore based company. Okay, and it is also a well known company in the market. So these two have come together. Obviously सिंगापुर वाले कंपनी ने ऐसे ही कोई छोटी मोटी या गफला वाली कंपनी के साथ में तो हाथ नहीं मिलाया रहेगा. एंड अदानी विल्मर ब्रांड इज वेल नोन इन द मार्केट. अब घर जाके आपके घर पे जो तेल का थैली आता है वो एक बार चेक कर लेना, आपको समझ जाएगा कि कौन सी कंपनी है. द ब्रांड इज फॉर्चून ऑयल. IPO size 3,600. प्राइसिंग वाज 218 to 230. अलॉटमेंट 230 पे हुआ आज की तारीख में. ठीक है, शेयर प्राइस है एट 381 एंड इन्वेस्टर्स are at a gain of 66%. Vedan Fashion, just last week the IPO opened for 3 days. I think on 8th the IPO got closed. ठीक है, it opened I think 5th से लेके 8th तक का ही था. 5th वही टाइम पे था, और 8th को क्लोज हुआ. कल अलॉटमेंट हुआ. मंडे को जिनको अलॉटमेंट नहीं मिला उनका रिफंड होगा. ट्यूसडे को डीमैट अकाउंट में शेयर्स आएंगे और वेडनेसडे को लिस्टिंग होगा सुबह 10 बजे. ठीक है, IPO size is quite small. The price, cutoff price, obviously it is at 2.39, so oversubscribe ही हुआ है. तो 866 पे अलॉटमेंट हुआ है. करंट मार्केट प्राइस पता नहीं है और गेन और लॉस भी पता नहीं है, क्योंकि जब लिस्टिंग होगा तब समझेगा. Now quickly I will share one more thing. So those who are really interested in looking at the fundamentals, for them I am showing this. Hold on. Window. You can see this. I have downloaded this from the website of SEBI. ठीक है, so Vedan Fashion, which is going to list on Wednesday, ये 400 पेज का प्रोस्पेक्टस है उसका. ठीक है, अब ये प्रोस्पेक्टस क्या है, ये कंपनी की जन्म कुंडली है. कंपनी कभी फॉर्म हुई, तभी कौन डायरेक्टर थे, क्या बिजनेस करते थे, और आज उनका बिजनेस कितना बड़ा है, कितने प्रोडक्ट है, कितने शॉप है, कौन डायरेक्टर है, कितनी मशीनरी है, कितनी फैक्ट्रीज है, क्या उनके फाइनेंशियल्स है. ये सारी चीजें है ना, ये 400 पन्ने के प्रोस्पेक्टस में दी हुई है. ठीक है, सो दिस इज द प्रोस्पेक्टस ऑफ द कंपनी. एंड हो जा रहा है क्या नीचे. सो इफ यू वांट टू स्टडी द कंपनी, ठीक है, फंडामेंटल्स, you can look at this document. So these are the investment bankers, lead book runner बोलते हैं उनको. ठीक है, so index, what is the offer, what is the financial information, objective of the offer, पैसा कहाँ पे यूज करेंगे. Now this is important to read. This is what I read. Industry overview, understand the industry. Industry overview क्या है, फिर वो बोलेंगे हमारा बिजनेस क्या है, अवर बिजनेस, पेज नंबर 131. की रेगुलेटर्स एंड पॉलिसीज इन इंडिया. तो जो बिजनेस में वो है उनके की रेगुलेटर्स, मतलब फॉर एग्जांपल अगर इंश्योरेंस की कंपनी है तो IRDA विल बी देयर. सिमिलरली अगर कार कंपनी है तो जो ट्रैफिक रूल्स रेगुलेशंस बनाते हैं, या पोल्यूशन कंट्रोल यूनिट है, उनके रूल्स रेगुलेशन. सो विच लॉज दे हैव टू फॉलो. हिस्ट्री एंड सर्टन कॉर्पोरेट मैटर्स. तो आई टोल्ड यू ना कि जब से कंपनी फॉर्म हुई है उसकी हिस्ट्री, स्टार्टिंग में कहाँ पे थी, क्या थी, हेड ऑफिस कहाँ पे था, सब. आवर मैनेजमेंट, हु आर द CEO, CFO, डायरेक्टर्स, एग्जीक्यूटिव डायरेक्टर्स, वुमन इंडिपेंडेंट डायरेक्टर, कॉर्पोरेट गवर्नेंस, सब कुछ इसमें आ जाएगा. हमारे प्रमोटर कौन है, ग्रुप के प्रमोटर कौन है, ग्रुप कंपनीज क्या है, कंपनी की डिविडेंड पॉलिसी क्या है. ठीक है, देन financial information, consolidated financial statement, that is your balance sheet, P&L, cash flow, ठीक है, other financial information, capitalization statement, related party transactions, मैनेजमेंट डिस्कशन एंड एनालिसिस. ये भी एक इम्पोर्टेंट होता है कि वो खुद मैनेजमेंट बताती है कि हमारी बिजनेस में लास्ट 1 साल से क्या चल रहा है, क्या डेवलपमेंट है, मार्केट में क्या है. फाइनेंशियल इनडेटेडनेस मतलब बैंक से या मार्केट से कितना पैसा उठाया हुआ है इन द फॉर्म ऑफ लोन्स, ठीक है, और मे बी डिबेंचर्स. तो ये सारा इंफॉर्मेशन यहाँ पे होता है. लीगल एंड अदर इन्फॉर्मेशन, अगर कंपनी के कोई सूट फाइल किया हुआ है कंपनी ने किसी पे, या कंपनी पे किसी ने सूट फाइल किया हुआ है, या उनके डायरेक्टर्स पे कोई सूट चल रहा है, तो वो सारे लीगल एंगल्स यहाँ पे आ जाते हैं. इन्फॉर्मेशन दे हैव टू डिस्क्लोज इट एज पर सेबी गाइडलाइंस. देन ये जो ऑफर है, दैट इज द आईपीओ, उसका स्ट्रक्चर क्या है, मतलब कितना ओएफएस है, कितना फ्रेश इशू है, ठीक है, टर्म्स ऑफ द ऑफर, ऑफर प्रोसीजर, कौन से दिन पे क्या होगा, आईपीओ ओपन कौन से दिन पे होगा, डे 1 पे, कौन से तारीख को वो क्लोज होगा, 3rd डे पे, फिर कौन से तारीख पे अलॉटमेंट फाइनल होगा, कौन से तारीख पे रिफंड आएगा, कौन से तारीख पे आपके डीमैट अकाउंट में आएगा, कौन से तारीख पे लिस्टिंग होगा, कौन से तारीख पे क्यूआईबी का लॉक इन पीरियड खत्म होगा. ये सारा चीज यहाँ पे ये लोग बताते हैं. सो दिस इज क्वाइट extensive information that you get. So if anybody is interested in getting into understanding the IPO, you can read this information. This is prior to the opening of the IPO. बिडिंग होता है ना 3 दिन, उसके पहले ही ये आ जाता है और सेबी के वेबसाइट पे मिलता है. तो इफ आई हैव टू शो यू द, हाँ मेरा स्क्रीन शेयर करता हूँ वापस. ये स्टॉप शेयरिंग, क्या हो रहा है. दिख रहा है क्या मेरा स्क्रीन?
No, sir.
स्क्रीन शेयर, ओके, अभी दिख रहा है सेबी का ये वेबसाइट? आर यू एबल टू सी द, नहीं ना, ओके, maybe I'm not able to share the.
No, sir. No, sir. It's not visible.
ठीक है. So basically you can Google and Vedanta Fashion Limited prospectus SEBI करके, so there is a link that will take you to SEBI website and you can get this prospectus. So
You can share the link in the chat box for the students.
okay, hold on, let me just look at it. Do that. Chat box. Yeah, I have done that. Okay, so I think it's 12:34. That's all from my side. Now I'm open for questions. Yeah. Anybody have any questions? Feel free to ask me. Even if it sounds stupid, no problem. Okay, I have a lot of stupid questions in my college days in my mind, so there's no problem at all about it.
Students, if you have questions, you can unmute yourself and ask. Else, you can also put in the chat box.
Ganesh sir?
Yeah.
Pooja ma'am here. Yeah, there's a question asked by Siddesh Taylor of our BMS student. How to know if the management is good or not? You were talking about understanding about the management, good or not. So he had this particular question. Could you please answer him for him?
Okay. See, this is what I feel. Before you meet any person, try to extract as much information as possible before you meet that person. Okay? This is the basic thing that one should do ideally in their day-to-day life, so that dealing with that person becomes quite easy. Similarly, when you invest in any company, look at the management. Who are the directors? In the prospectus, you can look at those directors. Try to Google about that name as much as possible. Were there any suits filed against him? Was he a director in any company which was found under tax evasion, or it was found in some wrongdoing or something of that sort? Try to gather as much information as possible about the management, about the team. Uh, so there are certain managements. For example, I know about, if any company, Tata Group company will come. Now we readily know about that management. We have seen how they have dealt with the Taj attack. We have seen how they have helped society about it, and that creates, a picture about how this management can be. Or if it's a completely, most of the time you'll find it's a new people, new management. At least try to Google as much as possible about the director, the chairman, the promoters, and especially the promoters. See, if the promoter is good, they will bring good management within the company. If the promoter is a promoter who wants to just, suck money out of investors and then divert that money somewhere, then I think, it is better that, you should avoid such kind of companies. So I know, few managements where I don't trust, I don't invest into, some companies because I know the way they run the company. They cheat with their customers. There is no transparency. The employees are not happy within the company. So I generally try to avoid. See, those companies will grow faster. I have seen those companies growing faster for 6 months, but then you have to, stop yourself. आपको growth दिख रही है, लेकिन you know that the integrity of that person or that company or the the culture of the company is not good. Stay away. So that's how you can, understand about management. Look at the names of the promoters, look at the names of the director, do the Google search, look at the any cases or criminal cases or any financial irregularities in their name. Look at the company. How is the company? How is, are they dealing with the customers in a right way? Are there any lot of consumer complaints against those companies? Because these IPO companies are not companies which have just started 1 year ago. These companies must have started 10 years ago, but now they are coming to the market. So definitely they will have a history.
Yes, it was really nice information. There's another question from our coordinator, ma'am. How good is it to invest in LIC IPO from long time perspective?
See, ma'am, I think it is too early to, say about LIC IPO because the prospectus जो मैंने आपको दिखाया वो अभी तक आया नहीं है, ठीक है? So that is one thing. So it is too early to say. If you ask me personally, ठीक है? Private companies are run more efficiently, whereas the government companies, the efficiency or the profit objective is not that strong. We have seen in the past, take example of Coal India, or take example of NTPC company, National Thermal Power. These are all monopolies. ठीक है? कोल इंडिया से जितना कोयला कोल इंडिया के पास है उतना किसी के पास भी नहीं है इंडिया में. In fact, we have a lot of demand for it. We import it. But if you look at the way the financials of the company or the profit or the growth of the company, it has not been that well. Similarly, NTPC also, it's a biggest company in India for generating thermal power. Okay? But if you look at the financials and all those things, there is a lot of restriction. The pricing पे भी restriction है. They have to face losses sometimes, which the government asks them to give subsidies. Okay? So similarly, IPO, I'll tell you just one thing, because this is a fact, so nobody can challenge it. If you look at the IPO, LIC Housing Finance, ठीक है? It is one of the subsidiaries of LIC. LIC Housing Finance में बहुत बड़ा होम लोन का स्कैम हुआ था few years ago. उनके जो डायरेक्टर थे, आई थिंक डायरेक्टर या मैनेजिंग डायरेक्टर, आई डोंट रिकलेक्ट एग्जैक्टली, बट हाँ, द डायरेक्टर जो थे, ठीक है, ही वाज पुट बिहाइंड द बार्स. बहुत बड़ा स्कैम हुआ था हाउसिंग लोन में. तो वही होता है कि प्राइवेट कंपनी में ना ये सारे चेक्स जो होते हैं ना, बहुत मतलब करीब से देखे जाते हैं. इन गवर्नमेंट कंपनी द एफिशिएंसी ऑफ द मैनेजमेंट वहां पे थोड़ा है ना आगे पीछे हो जाता है, and they are not as profit oriented as the private sector. And from investor perspective, what runs the share prices, I've told you, the earnings and PE. So these are few things that those are the concerns that I have in mind. But yes, no doubt, there is the biggest LIC policy holder or the policies in India. So it has a huge customer base. If they channelize it properly, if they use it smartfully, they can make a lot of money.
Thank you, sir. There's another question from our BMS student, Aniket Pradhan. He's saying if he applies for an IPO on the last day, so the probability of getting the allotment is as same as the people applying on the first day. How true is that?
Yes, that's correct. See, it's like, taking out a chit out of a pot. आप पहले चिट डालो उसमें, बाद में कोई और चिट आके डाले, फिर बाद में और कोई चिट आके डालेंगे, वो पॉट में ऐसे हाथ घुमाएंगे, फिर उसमें से एक चिट निकालेंगे ना. सो प्रोबेबिलिटी इज सेम इवन इफ यू पुट द चिट्स फर्स्ट. वो फर्स्ट कम फर्स्ट फीफो मेथड नहीं है, कोई प्रेफरेंस नहीं है कि मैंने फर्स्ट डे पे किया है इसके लिए मेरे को मिलेगा. इट इज अ लॉटरी सिस्टम.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Aniket Pradhan, I hope your doubt is cleared. So there's another question from Ganesh Shinde. Is it safe to invest in unlisted stocks as a beginner?
No, completely no. Because in listed stocks, as per SEBI guidelines, they have to come up quarterly with their financials. They have to disclose what is happening in the business. Whereas in unlisted shares, you don't get to understand what is happening inside the company. नहीं आपने जिस कंपनी में पैसा डाला है उसके अंदर क्या चल रहा है. एवरी क्वार्टर दे डोंट कम आउट विद क्वार्टरली रिजल्ट्स. तो कंपनी प्रॉफिट कर रही है या लॉस कर रही है आपको समझ में नहीं आता है. The disclosures are very, very, very less in unlisted companies, and at least as a initial beginner, you should not.
Sir, there's another question from Amit Dhongade. According to him, he says that he thinks the probability is completely random, and he wants an explanation on that, sir.
See, in random in sense, for example, suppose on day 1, 100 people apply, day 2, 100 people apply, day 3, 100 people apply. Now, what they do is that they take all these 300 applications and allotment happens, on the 6th or 7th day. Because they take all these 300 applications together and they will check those applications. अच्छा पैन नंबर सही है ना, इसका डीमैट अकाउंट नंबर सही है ना, वो सारे जो एप्लीकेशंस होते हैं वो स्क्रूटिनाइज होते हैं. ठीक है. Suppose from 300 applications, 50 applications are filled wrong or there was some wrong information in that. ठीक है. तो बचे कितने 250 एप्लीकेशंस. कंपनी को शेयर कितने इशू करने हैं, 100 शेयर इशू करने हैं. तो आउट ऑफ दोस 250 एप्लीकेशंस दे विल रैंडमली सिलेक्ट those 100 applications. So chances of getting your application selected is equal to what the person has applied on the 3rd day or maybe 1st day or 2nd day. You can't say that I have applied for the 1st day, so the probability of getting the allotment is higher. No. I'll tell you, I got Dmat one lot. I applied on the 3rd day. And I have been applying for a lot of times on 3rd day only. इतने डीमार्ट के इतने सब्सक्रिप्शन में मेरे को मिल गया 3rd day पे. So my experience told me the same thing, that it doesn't make any sense because I have seen how the process happens. So it is completely random. There is nothing like first day. There is any preference.
Thank you very much, sir. Is there any questions now? Are there any questions, students? If yes, then please type it in the chat box. Students, if you still have any query, please type it in the chat box.
Ma'am, this Amir is asking for explanation on MOAT, mode.
Sir, can you please explain on what is this?
Okay.
To him.
Moat is, we are going into the business model. Okay. I'll tell you what is moat. First, I'll, give you a simple example. पुराने जमाने में क्या होता था? बीच में पानी होता था और उस पानी के बीच में है ना महल होता था. ठीक है. और वो महल उस पानी के बीच में इसीलिए रखते थे क्योंकि वो सेफ होता था. उस पानी के अंदर है ना मगरमच्छ या सांप ऐसे कोई चीजें होती थी. ठीक है. द कैसल यूज्ड टू बी inside or between that water. Why this structure was made? For a simple reason that if the enemy attacks, ठीक है, वो easily castle तक पहुंचे नहीं. बीच में जो पानी है ना, उसमें मगरमच्छ, सांप, ये सब है. तो अगर वो आ भी गया तो वहां पे गिर जाएगा, वहां पे मर जाएगा. He can't easily capture the castle. In business also you need to create a moat. You need to create your business in such a way that competitor, even if the competitor comes, can't give you a competition so easily. So for example, creating a brand like Asian Paints, even if recently I think Jindal या JSW has started paint company. How many of you have heard about it? सुना है किसी ने? Now since okay, one person has said yes. Now since I am in the market, I know the competitor. मेरा काम ही है एशियन पेंट्स के कंप्यूटर पे नजर रखने का कि कैसी कर रही है कंपनी. बोलते ना वो बच्चे पे अपने नजर रखना होता है, कहीं गलत संगत में ना लग जाए, सही चल रहा है. वैसे मैं भी अपने कंपनी पे नजर रखता हूँ कि भाई कंपटीशन क्या कर रही है. तो आई नो अबाउट जिंदाल और JSW पेंट, बट इट विल टेक टाइम फॉर JSW पेंट टू कैप्चर द मार्केट. मेरे घर के आजू बाजू में जितने भी पेंट वाले हैं ना, उनके ऊपर मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम एशियन पेंट का ही ब्रांडिंग है. ठीक है, तो एशियन पेंट हैज मेंटेन इट्स डोमिनेंस इन द मार्केट. जितनी फास्ट सर्विस, ठीक है, एशियन पेंट देता है किसको? सप्लायर्स को. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, आपने सुबह बोल दिया मेरे को 5 किलो का ये पेंट चाहिए, विद इन 3 आवर्स उसके दुकान पे पेंट आ जाएगा. ठीक है, इतना फास्ट सर्विस है एशियन पेंट्स का. दे हैव बिल्ड दैट नेटवर्क. एशियन पेंट्स का क्वालिटी देखो पेंट का. ठीक है, एशियन पेंट्स का मार्केटिंग देखो, एशियन पेंट्स की मार्जिन देखो. एवरी क्वार्टर दे विल कीप ऑन इंक्रीजिंग द प्राइस. समटाइम्स दे ऑल्सो रिड्यूस द प्राइस. अब ये बहुत अच्छी बात है, दे रिड्यूस द प्राइस. इफ द इंटरनेशनल मार्केट में अगर वो प्राइस कम होती है, ठीक है, ऑयल की, बिकॉज पेंट इज अ डेरिवेटिव ऑफ ऑयल, so then they reduce the price. They give very good margins to their networks. Network मतलब जो distributor है या paint company है, they give free training to the painters. They have a institute जहाँ पे ये जो पेंटर आते हैं ना, उनको वो लोग फ्री में सिखाते हैं. अब ये जब सब चीजें करके रखी है ना, इससे ये सारा जो नेटवर्क है, दुकानदार, डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर, ये सब एशियन पेंट से जुड़े रहते हैं. पेंटर लोग जुड़े रहते हैं, ब्रांड बनाया रखता है, क्वालिटी देख के रखता है, सप्लाई चेन एकदम फास्ट है. ये सब पहुंचना कॉम्पिटिटर को इतना इजी नहीं है. तो दिस इज व्हाट इज मोट. अंडरस्टूड? हाउ यू बिल्ड योर बिजनेस सो दैट इवन इफ द कॉम्पिटिटर कम्स, इट कांट टेक ओवर यू वेरी इजीली. दैट इज व्हाट इज मोट. एंड द मोट you have in the business, more intact your business would be.
So really a superb explanation. I really liked it. I hope Amit, you understood. So there's another question. Aniket Pradhan is asking. He's saying that in offer for sale, the promotions dilute their stakes into the market. So doesn't it give a negative impression that the promoters are not confident enough on the company?
See, yes, one can think like that. Okay, but the promoter is like a Tata company. Okay, the way of thinking is right, what he is saying. But if the promoter is like a Tata company, in between now Tata is saying that we want to expand Tata Motors EV. Okay, for that we require a lot of money. So what they will do is that in their other company, now Tata is a huge group. They have software company TCS, they have Tata Motors, they have Tata Power, जो लाइट मेरे घर में आती है. ठीक है, they have multiple businesses. Now tomorrow if they want to come up with Starbucks and Tata का tie-up है, if you people know about it. ठीक है, so Starbucks and Tata are in tie-up. If they come out with that company, ठीक है, IPO, and they are saying that we want to sell our stake in this business and want to use that money in Tata Motors for EV business. ठीक है, electric vehicle business. I don't think that is bad. It is okay till the time the company is telling that I'm removing this money not because I see that the business is bad, but just we have need of money that we want to divert it in some other business where we look more potential. So then you cannot put a straight, thought that promoter is selling. That means this they don't have a confidence in the business. One more thing, in IRCTC, the promoter was Government of India. So if the Government of India is selling IRCTC business, that doesn't mean that government doesn't have a confidence in IRCTC. They had a target of disinvestment. पार्लियामेंट में उन्होंने एक टारगेट सेट किया हुआ है बजट में कि इतना वो लोग डिसइन्वेस्टमेंट करेंगे. इवन LIC is also a part of that only, disinvestment. So not always you can say that promoter is selling. That means they don't have confidence in the business. You need to look at it, why they are selling it. They don't want to invest anywhere. They want to just use that money for themselves. Then it might be the case.
Yes, sir. There's another question from Siddesh Shelar. He is asking how to check liquidity of shares on daily basis for trading.
See, on trading now, what you can do is you can go to NSE website, okay, and or on a BSE website where these stocks are listed. You look at the shares traded. You can see that on the website. You put the name of the company. It will show you what price the trading started, what price the trading closed, what was the day high, what was the day low, okay, and then they will tell you how much shares are traded for that day. Within that, they will also tell you how many shares traded जिसमें delivery ली हुई है. So for example, 10 lakh shares got changed their hand today, out of which there were 2 lakh shares जिसमें delivery ली है. मतलब एक बंदे ने buy किया है, दूसरे बंदे ने sell किया हुआ है, फिर वापस से उस shares को buy sell नहीं हुआ है जिसमें delivery आई है. इतना detail information मिलता है उसमें.
Okay, sir, there's another question asked by Sahil Padelkar. So, as a retail investor, how to decide whether to hold that stock or sell at profit just after listing?
Very, very, very important question. But उसका जो मैं बोलूँगा answer is understanding of the business model and understanding of the valuation. If you feel that the business is really good, okay, and your judgment of the business is correct, in the long term the share price will increase. Okay, if you feel that the valuations are on a lower side, अगर इसको मैं होल्ड करता हूँ और कंपनी का प्रॉफिट बढ़ेगा तो इसका वैल्यू और बढ़ेगा, and your judgment is right, definitely the price will increase. But if your judgment goes wrong, okay, then the price might get stuck at that level itself. That means it is not increasing or it is not decreasing, or it might fall from there onwards. So I would say the answer is how much you read, how much knowledge you gain, and what is the judgment that you have on that stock. And I will tell you, nobody in the market, not even Rakesh Jhunjhunwala, can tell you 100% this will do good or this will do good bad. They just, based on their experience, they form an opinion, and based on their opinion, sometimes it goes right. Now, for them, most of the time it goes wrong, but in some cases it goes most of the time it goes right, and sometimes it goes wrong. Okay, even Rakesh Jhunjhunwala, I know shares where he has lost money heavily. रामदेव अग्रवाल हैज लॉस्ट मनी हेवीली. ठीक है, उनके भी जजमेंट्स रॉन्ग जाते हैं. तो वो भाई एक्सपीरियंस की बात है. जितना आप साल यहाँ पे डालोगे इस मार्केट में, समझोगे, और आपका जजमेंट जितना रिफाइंड आएगा उतना ही होगा. एंड आई टेल यू इन जनरल, इवन आई और मे बी expert people, I'll talk about myself. If I apply or if I put 10 bets, okay, I would say my 6 to 7 bet goes right, my 3 bet goes wrong, and I'm honest about it. There's nothing wrong. I'm telling you, I cannot have 10 bets and 10 bets right. Not even Warren Buffett have 10 bets right and 10 bets he have made and 10 have gone right. It is just, in some cases your accuracy rate is 60%. In expert case, it might be 70%. In more expert case, it might be 80%. Nobody has reached 100% in this market.
Thank you, sir. So there's another question. Aniket Pradhan is asking, what should be our ideal motive applying for an IPO, for listing gains or for perpetuity investment?
It's like, what you want. You want to be Rahul Dravid or you want to be Sehwag. Sehwag always comes and he gives a very good opening for the team. उसका काम ही वैसा है कि भाई स्ट्रोक खेलो अच्छा ओपनिंग दो. Whereas Rahul Dravid is a test player. Now what you want to make quick money. ठीक है. If your objective is to make a quick money, apply for the IPO on the day of listing or on the second day, just sell it out and move out and keep, rolling your money in different IPOs. That is one way. The other way is you don't want to get into those all hassles. Study IPO, 3-4 IPOs. Out of that, one IPO you will like, you think that it is a long-term bet. Buy those shares, hold it for 2 years. Your money will be doubled or maybe, at least 50-60% gain. So the choice is yours. What kind of game you want to play? So there are two kind of players in the market. One is called, trader, and one is called investor. Investors are those who hold for long term, okay? And traders are those who buy today morning, sell in the afternoon. So you have to select what kind of investor you want to be.
Yeah, understood, sir. I hope the students have understood. Are there any more doubts, students? Are there any more doubts? If yes, then kindly put it in the chat box. Yes. Yes, Aniket, you may unmute. Please ask the question.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Aniket.
So actually, I had a question. So you might be knowing that small cap companies are a bit more riskier than the large cap and the mid cap companies, right? So, sir, if a small cap company comes with an IPO and it pretends to have a good fundamental and good management, so is it worth investing in it or not?
So the important word is pretend. Okay. If they are genuinely good, uh, I would say invest in it and hold it. And somewhere you think that they pretend to be, then the choice is yours. You can play the game. You apply for the IPO. On the listing day, you sell out and move out of it and make some quick bucks. The choice is yours.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Are there any more questions, students? Sir, I think you have solved most of the doubts. We really had a very nice question and answers round. So thank you so much. Now I want to request Dr. Vinaya Naik to conclude the webinar just by proposing the vote of thanks. Over to you, Dr. Vinaya Naik, ma'am.
Thank you, Pooja, madam. Good afternoon, everyone. Today's day, I believe, is really a day of learning, isn't it, everyone? So we had a wonderful session. It's my privilege to propose a vote of thanks on the Intracollegiate IPO and Investment Trend 2022, organized by BMS Department. I, Dr. Vinaya Naik, Faculty BMS Department and Soft Skills and SAP Coordinator of Patkar-Varde College, extend a heartier vote thankfulness to the Honorable Resource Person, Mr. Ganesh Shinde, sir, Senior Manager from RBL Bank and Investment Banker. The session on IPO, I believe, was really very interesting. We got a lot of information. Even students, may have a lot of doubts. All the doubts and queries and everything was solved out here. Thank you very much, Mr. Ganesh, sir. Heartfelt thanks to all the participants out there, our teachers, our technical staff for making the session a huge success. I once again extend a big thankful to our principal, Dr. Shrikant Sawant, sir, the CEO, Dr. Mala Kharkar, madam, and the management, and for the constant enthusiastic support guidance from the audience as well. Last but not the least, to all the faculty members, thank you, and all the dear students as well. Thank you, everybody. Stay safe and take care. Students, I'll be sharing the feedback link right away on the chat box and also in the group. Please complete the feedback form. Secondly, the certificates you'll be getting in a week's time. Thank you very much. Bye.
Sir, you are on mute.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you so much to the college, the teaching faculties and the students as well. It was glad talking to you guys and sharing whatever limited amount of knowledge that I had. So it was a pleasure, guys. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
So, so shall I log out now?
Yes, yes, sir.
Yeah. Sure. Thank you. Bye
Yes.
bye.
Okay. Thank you. Bye, sir. Thank you.